Good evening and welcome to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen Workshop. It is May 29th, 2025 and it is 5:30 p.m. The prayer on Tuesday night will be with Vice Mayor No. The Pledge of Allegiance will be with Alderwoman Haas. Everyone should have a copy of the minutes from the May 1st, 2025 workshop and the May 6th, 2025 regular meeting. We will then go into departmental reports. And then we've got old business, second reading, ordinance 2025-14, an ordinance of the City of Laverne, Tennessee, adopting the annual budget and tax rate for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026. We will have a public hearing on this on Tuesday at 5:45. We do have some requests here from Alderwoman Hobbs, who is not here tonight. She is proposing an amendment to add the city recorder position. An estimate, this will add $114,351 to the general fund operating budget. If the board wants to make this change, a motion will need to be approved to amend the budget for this addition, and then the budget will need to be approved as amended. And you can see, I believe, let's see, was her email in the packet, Bruce?
Yes, it's on page 18 of the packet.
Page 18. Sorry, because I'm deep in the budget here, but...
It's right after the summary.
Okay, yep, there it is. I went back to the end of it. And so she had spoken to some of the directors about it, and they had listed an urgency for it. I know the city administrator and I have spoken about this as well, and I won't disagree. I know we have spoken about having a city recorder. I think it would free up our city administrator to focus on more moving the city forward. It's again, it's working out the financials.
Hold on just a minute. I'm on page 18.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see this.
Okay, you're looking at that right there. That's the email that Alderwoman Hobbs had sent over to the city administrator, where she had done I'm guessing a survey monkey or a type of survey to the directors.
Okay, I understand now.
So it's working out, of course, the money, which Danielle loves it whenever we throw curveballs at her. But it's working that out to play devil's advocate. Money-wise, I know we've got some new businesses coming on board, which would generate sales tax for that year. But again, this is all ultimately up to this board to make that decision if we want to go with a city recorder position this fiscal year or not. It was mentioned in the budget workshops that just due to all of the different priorities that this would be a item for next year. But again, that's up to this board to discuss, debate, and go from there with. Any thoughts?
So she would like for us, am I that loud? So she would like for us to amend this current budget.
No, the upcoming budget.
The upcoming budget.
Mm-hmm.
And add a city recorder. Does that cut Bruce's pay if we do that?
No, we're not talking about cutting his pay unless he wants. Do you
what
want to voluntarily sacrifice any?
Now stay with me here, because I'm dummy. I want to ask dummy questions. So Bruce's title is administrator and city recorder.
City administrator and city recorder, yes.
Correct?
Yes.
And he gets paid for both of those positions.
He gets paid for doing all of it, yes.
So if we open up a city recorder, then he would still be city administrator with both of those pays.
Well, it's not two separate pays that he's getting. He's not getting like two separate paychecks. Andrew, do you want to weigh in on that part?
Sure. Just from a compensation perspective, the study that has been done for numerous years evaluates the city administrator as a city administrator. So when pay is calculated and comp is compared, that role, which Bruce holds, is compared to other city administrators, city managers. My understanding has been that the city recorder responsibilities have been on him. Technically, there's not been additional compensation. His scoring in the comp study is strictly based on the city administrator title and how it compares within our market. Does that help?
So by getting a new city administrator, it would add how much money?
Order.
I think he's
City
talking about city recorder.
We are
City
not getting,
recorder.
we're not talking about getting new city administrators.
City recorder.
It's 104, well, it'll add an additional $114,351 to the general fund operating budget.
Is that including benefits?
Yes.
Well, in my opinion, I would have to ask Bruce if he thought, not the money, but as far as a recorder, is that going to help the city? Is it going to be even? Is it going to take a workload? I'm sure.
Well, it's kind of a touchy subject, to be honest, just because I've done this job for 31 years as the city recorder, in addition to the administrator duties. However, I can see the benefit of freeing up some of my time to do more leadership type things, things that I may not have time for now. I mean, I think I fulfill all of the duties of the city administrator as it stands now, but obviously there's always room for more improvement and more things to be done. As city recorder, obviously I'm responsible for the legal documents of the city, the minutes, the ordinances, resolutions, everything. But on the other hand, Juliet does a lot of the legwork as far as attending meetings, writing minutes, a lot of the permit stuff that office is responsible for. So it would not only affect my job as doing both roles, but it would affect hers as well, because if we hire a city recorder, that person would do most of the stuff that she does for that role.
How much time would you say that between you and Jules, y'all spend on minutes, meetings?
Being you making fun of
packets.
me, don't say y'all in a professional meeting.
Don't get
Go
your
ahead.
hair all in a fluster.
For me, I don't know if I can put a number of hours on it specifically. Percentage-wise, maybe 30 to 40 at the most. I don't even know if it would be quite that high, but just percentage-wise, I'd say probably 30% is my guess. As far as Juliet, I don't know, because she does so much other things as well and in other departments and helping out in as many ways as possible.
Jules, you want to jump in? What you think as far as time you spend?
I mean, I would say probably 40%. But if a city recorder is hired, of course, a lot of that would come off, and then I would be able to do more for my two bosses that is probably lacking and that needs to be accomplished. So, yeah.
Anybody else?
So, go on.
So obviously thank you.
You're welcome. You said first.
Okay. all right. The city recorder position and what they do in the minutes is very, very important to the city. I mean, if it gets legal, I'm sure everyone will chirp in, it's very, very important the person that does it does an accurate job and does it very well, because it's a real big position to control and make sure we have it orderly and well organised.
Okay, so this would be a full-time position. Is there enough with what Bruce said, 30%, Jules said maybe 40%, so you're looking at 70% to support a full FTE?
Yes.
There would be enough to support a full FTE?
Yes, I believe so.
More than enough? Okay, I mean, I'm just going back to
There are
that.
several projects that we've not been able to work on that, because we're just keeping up with the day-to-day.
Yeah, I was just adding up the percentages and,
Kyle?
Yes.
I guess he's wanting your
Input?
thought.
Oh, I think you'll definitely have enough job duties and responsibilities to keep a full-time employee busy. And like what Bruce said, there's some tasks as far as record keeping and stuff that probably could be improved on. I know we use Laserfish, but as far as how things are filed and yeah, organized and the naming scheme and everything else, that's a project that I know he's not had enough time to tackle, that if you had a full-time recorder, they could do that. And I know that Jules does a lot of stuff that I have her tasked with, that whatever duties that she's losing, I know she'll still have enough to stay busy for the entire day.
And if we do this, where would their office be?
That would be to be determined. I'm not sure at this point.
And it sounds to me like that's a pretty good bet that they could help out. What about the money?
That is a concern to some extent. Obviously, with the upcoming budget, we're already pulling money out of fund balance to pay for various things. So if we add this, you either have to take more funds out of fund balance to pay for it, or you have to cut something that's already approved, in the budget. So, and I don't know what that would be. That's obviously up to you as a board. We have already advertised the budget. It's ready to go for second reading next week. There's an opportunity, if you wanted to do this, to actually do a budget amendment once this budget is in place. And that way we can look and see what we need to do a little closer to provide the funding for it. And we can do a standalone budget amendment, maybe starting in July, to make this change instead of I'm not saying we're doing this, but it could have the appearance that we're trying to slide this in at the last minute.
When it comes to the money aspect of it, I'll speak a little bit because I know from an economic development standpoint, we're getting ready to start seeing Aldi's sales tax start coming in. Chipotle just opened yesterday because Doug was the first one in line. We've got Panda Express slated to open in September. Starbucks was approved Tuesday night by the Planning Commission. So, and then we still have a few others that are floating out there. Take 5 is under construction. The Zaxby's is still working through the PSA of that. So we have multiple groups coming online that can help offset this. I know we've done other purchases where we thought, where Public Works is currently and the land behind it, we thought that was fund balance and we generated enough to balance out. But it all depends on how the economy goes and what else announces, but those will be new generators of sales tax in our community within the next year. Whenever I spoke with Ryan out in, at ICSC, they're very excited about getting started for Starbucks.
Well, I think Alderwoman Hobbs has got a legitimate agenda item here. Can we, as you said, going down the road, can we get it back on the agenda, say 5 months?
We could. There's 3 ways we can go about it, at least that I've heard so far. One here is listed in the packet, which is make an amendment to the budget here whenever we pass the budget. And then that would basically start July 1st. We have another one where Bruce mentioned if we pass the budget, we can do a standalone budget amendment, and that would basically take effect whenever we have it in there. A third would be to basically hold off on it and then go back in 5 months and do a budget amendment at that point in December. I think that's roughly 5 months from when the budget starts.
Well, we've waited this long. I don't think 5 months is gonna kill us, and if we see money coming in and it's doable and no stress, you know. That's my opinion. I'm only one of 4 or 5 here.
Anybody else?
I concur with that. I mean, I think we can work things out as get through the budget. Let's get through the budget first. That's obviously one of our priority tasks, is to get the budget done and move forward from there.
Okay. Any other discussion on this? You can.
I
Anybody?
concur.
I mean, I'm not trying to run the show here, but the budget's tight. I think it's a good agenda item, but at the same time, I think we need to wait and see what kind of revenue's coming in. That gives Danielle time to scratch her head a little bit.
Danielle always loves us adding new stuff on there and new expenses. So,
Well, and just one other thing, the hiring pool may, loosen up some once the economy kind of maybe settles, and people will start, looking for jobs again and stuff. So that, that might.
How hard are them kind of people to get?
For this particular role, it will be challenging, and it's not because of the candidate pool, it's because of the list of requirements that will be needed to fulfill that duty. I mean, ideally, we're going to look for a city recorder who's already a city recorder.
Is that compensation that we're talking about kind of in line with the ones that you've seen, or?
We haven't looked at any candidates yet, if that's what you mean. So there's no candidates to look at because there's no job posting, but I think you're going to look for somebody that already has the specialty of the job and the certifications of the job. I mean, just speaking from the HR perspective, if you started with somebody from scratch, you also have to contemplate the amount of time Bruce and Jules will have to spend teaching someone how to do the job, and then weigh out, where are we saving? Because if we're trying to free up workspace to focus on higher level things, you want to bring somebody in who already knows the job and just has to learn our system.
and our schedule for meetings,
That's right.
because they're going to be staying over for
All the meetings.
all the different meetings that we do, that Jules currently enjoys.
I just don't want to listen. I don't mind Jules. I just don't want to listen to Bruce fuss because they're not learning quick enough, or they're doing something.
Bruce Fuss?
I do that?
No. Moving on to the consent agenda. We've got A, approved water line easement with High Point 24 Phase 2 LLC. This is just like it sounds. The existing water line within High Point 24 is not located in the easement originally granted. So this is basically addressing that. And there's no cost to the city for this. Does anyone have any questions?
Say that again, no cost.
No cost.
Yeah, we like free.
I like that.
Next, we have B, approved public entity partners, insurance renewal for the fiscal year 2025, 2026. It's our annual renewal with them, and you can see the total rates. Andrew, I know you do a lot with them. Is there anything you want to touch on?
So this is pretty much our annual process. We did make we spent significant time this year evaluating our policies. Just to give you all a 60,000 foot perspective, the city's been with public entity partners now for decades. And, part of doing good due diligence is just figuring out, are we getting the best rates? Are we in the best position? So we were able to have some conversations with some of our current vendors and brokers just to learn some details. And so some of the changes that you're seeing this year, and I'll just point out the property as an example. The property rate fell 18.6% compared to our current policy. And that is not because property rates are going down. It's because we are going to significantly raise our deductible. Now, when you say that, typically you think, wait, why would we do that? Thankfully, we have like 0 to no property claims on a regular basis. However, if we were to have a property claim against one of our buildings, it's more statistically accurate to say it would be a significant claim, right? So if a tornado came through and knocked down a building, that's a significant claim. We can reduce our risk in how much we're spending out of pocket every year by absorbing a little higher deductible, or in this case, a much higher deductible, because those events just typically statistically are not happening. So we had a $1,000 deductible for years and years. The proposal is to move to a $25,000 deductible. In doing so, we're going to pay 18% less in premiums. If we have a substantial property claim, we have the insurance to support us, and we would be on the hook for the first $25,000 as opposed to the first $1,000. But we don't have claims, thankfully, that fall into that category very often. So that's a significant change. Workers' compensation rates are reduced by 6.6% over our current policy, and that is a result of the industry rates changing. Okay. So that's the good thing. And then obviously our big spend is typically on liability. And as you can see, there is a base rate increase of almost 12% on liability. And I would share that liability increase is across the state. Law enforcement liability, automobile liability, and property damage, which falls under the automobile side. So automobile liability when we hit somebody, property damage when our vehicles get hit, all of those rates are skyrocketing within the state. So we're absorbing that 12% by raising some of our deductibles there just so that we can compensate for some of those increases and absorb a little more. We're also changing, the proposal for you is to increase what's called the each other loss limit. That is the maximum cap that we could pay on a liability claim. We've been at $1 million cap per claim for years. Our consultants told us, you really need to increase that. This will be a $2 million cap moving forward. So all of the rates that you see there are inclusive of all of those changes.
Anyone have any questions on that? Thank you, Andrew. Next, we've got C, approve annual contract with TDOT for the maintenance of Murfreesboro Road. This is, again, our annual contract with TDOT. We can receive from the state up to $29,564, roughly just under $30,000. But typically we get about $5,000 for mowing and trash pickup. Michael, for the future, could we look into seeing if the area by the ramps, the grassy areas, like on the other side of Thornton's that we have a lot of trash problems with, if that can be incorporated in this for future?
Absolutely, I would have to reach out to them, but I will like to also add that here recently, this past winter, Doug and I worked with Miss Danielle, because if you look in the contract, there are other items that we can bill against, such as plowing, salting, street sweeping, potholes. So we are now turning those things in as well to try and receive some of that money back. But yes, sir, we will certainly, I'll reach out to them, see if we can maybe include other portions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone have any questions on the contract? Moving on to D, approve renewal of service agreement with Motorola Solutions for the city radio equipment. Again, this is our annual contract with them. It's $18,446. Does anyone have any questions? Moving on to E, approve amendment number 1 to the contract with Solomon Builders Incorporated for the construction and development of Brookside Park. And so the original contract that was approved in March, that's when this was set up. Since that time, we've been waiting on notice from TDEC, and that's kind of eaten into that time frame. So it was discovered that the title for the original contract was incorrect. It referenced Public Works facility. So we've updated the title correction, and this is going to be as far as in there. You can see the Public Works, Community Development wording in there in your packet. This is just fixing all of that. There's no financial impact about this. Does anyone have any questions? Moving on to F, approved contract with the Regional Transportation Authority for the provision of commuter bus service and membership dues for the fiscal year 25-26. Again, this is our annual renewal agreement with them. Membership dues are $38.72, and then the subsidy for Laverne, bless you, Doug, for the bus service is $15,924. And again, this is just for bus service going through Laverne. Any questions? Moving on to G. Approve amendment number 3 for grant contract number 77833-150 with the State of Tennessee Department of Commerce and Insurance for the Police Department Recruitment Retention Grant. Again, this is something that we've done in the past. There's no financial cost to the city, and so this gives the police department the ability to recruit and retain police officers by funds allocated for officers who are hired and retained for a specific period of time. We've been part of this program since it started, and it's designed to increase the number of officers on Tennessee streets, and specifically, we want it to increase the number in Laverne. So this amendment is going to amend the definition of eligibility, of eligible officer, and specifies dates that the officer must be hired in. Does anyone have any questions on that? And last on the consent agenda, approve 2 statements of work with Civic Plus for city website improvements. And this is just like it sounds. It is for city website improvements. You're looking at security package is $600 per year. And if this is approved, a prorated amount will be invoiced to the city. And then this is also adding a chat bot, and that's $41.76.90. And so, if approved, the upgrade will be for free for the next renewal. Does anyone have any questions? Moving on to new business. First reading, ordinance 2025-15, an ordinance to amend the City of Laverne zoning ordinance by changing the official zoning map for tax map 32 parcels 3.04 and 3.05 and tax map 29 parcels 41.01 and 41.02. Property consists of approximately 76.55 acres. Property is located on or near Waldron Road and Blair Road. Current zoning R1 low density zoning district. Proposed zoning PDR, planned density residential zoning district with a base of R3 high density residential. A public hearing will be held on Tuesday, June 3rd, 2025 at 5:45 p.m. And this is, just like it sounds, this is a rezoning. This is the first reading for it. This is the development you may have seen in the news as Twinning Station. And I think we have some representatives for this. So, Land, if you and your team want to come up and can kind of speak to the board about it, and believe in the packet, everyone should have everything.
Yeah, so Land Elliott Equitable Property Company, 3201 Trevor Street, Suite 200, Nashville, Tennessee, 37209. Our team is proposing a 76.55 acre mixed-use development containing multifamily, retail, a little bit of office space, 49 townhomes, and 16 single-family lots.
How much square footage is the retail?
Varies depending on, but 200 and, here, sorry about that. A total of 250,000 plus or minus square feet of retail, including a roughly 50,000 square foot grocery anchor.
Okay. And this will have restaurants, shopping, grocery that you just mentioned.
Yeah, we hope to have
or
some
commercial.
full-service restaurants, a combination of full-service restaurants, coffee shops, soft good retail. Hopefully, we'll have a grocery store as mentioned. Hopefully, some exercise and wellness retail included in it.
Okay. Anyone have any questions?
If you would just talk about the planned walkability of the whole project, if you would?
Yeah, so we've got do you have a site plan that you could pull up for me?
Page 219, Glenn.
So anyway, yeah, the property has connectivity between the north and south parcels via a walking path that you'll see kind of on the back side of the site plan that wraps around to the proposed fire station and through the multifamily and townhome site on the north property. We also have sidewalks throughout the property connecting all of it to the different neighborhoods around it via pedestrian access.
And what about the buffering between the existing homes and the planned project? Could you just explain that if you would?
Sure. You'll see on the north parcel, the green area, that is all wooded buffers around streams, buffering it from the ridge. If you look at the pink retail and the larger site plan there, it's roughly a quarter of a mile from the rear of the houses that abut the property. It also has a vegetation buffer, landscape buffer as well, which you see in green where the walking trail walks through it.
This does include land that will be used in the future for a new fire station. And if we've been in discussions, as far as when I say we, the fire chief has been in discussions with Chris Clark, EMA director, about including a component for EMS. If you've followed their discussions, there is a need on this part of town with all the growth for an EMS hub. So those details will be hammered out whenever we get to the actual construction phase of the fire department. But there is land you will see. It's right where Dobson Knobs and Blair West are. It's the little red area in there. We did, and Land, you can confirm this if you would like, but this is in everyone's packet. When it comes to uses permitted, uses restricted, what we did was we took the uses restricted that were utilized with the Arbor Ridge development, and we incorporated them in here because we've already heard from the community they weren't wanting that. We have had Alderwoman Hobbs had sent over via email about including in with this a hookah bar, which I know you don't have a problem with. No. Evan, I did want to just confirm with you, because I look at hookah as a type of tobacco store or service. Would that be would that be right? I don't do hookah, so I don't know.
Well, I mean,
for sure.
We need to make sure that's a great.
I figured you'd be the expert. You'd be the expert.
I'm the expert on hookah. No idea what it is.
No, I don't feel I don't feel so bad now because I was waiting on that question, because I have no clue what that is.
Oh,
I think, I may also see if Bo has any comment on this, but we need to be sure we have a definition. If we're going to permit something or prohibit something, we need to be sure we are defining exactly what it is. And if that's not a defined term, then we need to make it a defined term.
Okay.
so, for everybody who doesn't know what a hookah bar is, it's like a vape store or a tobacco store. That's kind of what a hookah bar is.
Oh,
You go in and yeah.
So to make sure that we have it clear, number one, this would be for both Bo with the current zoning ordinance, and I'm gonna pick on Katie with the upcoming zoning ordinance, for y'all to get a definition of hookah bar together that can be incorporated in with the definitions. Land, could you get us an updated packet here that has uses prohibited hookah bar on
Yes.
there? And then she also had asked about basically the long-term hotels, the ones with the kitchenettes in them, about excluding those as well. Can that be included in with uses prohibited?
We don't have a problem with that.
Okay. If you could just get that updated packet and for uses prohibited, because this is just minor items, and get that over to Bruce. Bruce, when would you need it by? Would it be Monday next week
Yeah, end of Monday would be best.
Okay,
to incorporate that?
not a problem.
So that we have it in here to be able to vote on. The other thing that she asked about, and I know other, some residents have asked about as well, was about restricting the back entrance to the commercial area to emergency personnel only, and allow only foot traffic through there. Can you speak to that, or your engineer speak to that?
Sure, I'll call my engineer up.
Oh, we get one. Thought we were getting two.
Actually, not this simple, thank you.
They're swapping out.
Traffic engineer. Sorry.
You state your name for the
Yeah,
record.
good evening. Leo Espelette. I'm with Kimley Horn and Associates, 7416 Flatbush Drive, Colors Grove. The traffic impact study that was done for this site assumes that all the access, all the traffic is going to come in from Boardroom, with 80% going north and about 20% coming south. I think the restriction will be for potential concerns of traffic impacts that may have through the neighborhood. We don't see that as necessarily being the case, even if percentage of the traffic going south, that 5%. The only reason why somebody to use those residential roads would be to come on the Lake Road on the south for potentially going west, and that would be about, worst case would be roughly about 50 or 60 vehicles an hour during the peak hours. So we don't see that being necessarily a traffic concern, and we don't even think that that's necessarily going to happen because the access that is being provided in Waldron, based on our study, with the improvements that the city is proposing to complete, will operate at adequate level of service. Therefore, no need for somebody to use any alternative routes. For emergency perspective, that connection should stay. Having a secondary connection for the site is important for evacuation purpose. Something happens in Waldron, so.
Kyle, let me ask you, you popped that head right up. If there is a major wreck on Waldron, with the front section of this only having 3 access points, looks like 2 on Waldron, or 3 on Waldron, and then 1 at Sweet Maple at the rear. Is that, I know we look at subdivisions as having 2 entrances, 2 exits, but with the bulk of this being on Waldron for entrances and exits, one being at the back, do you have any concerns with that either being restricted or not from a traffic management from the city side?
I think he kind of addressed it, but from an emergency standpoint, if something were to happen on Waldron in all your access points, I know there's 3 of them on Waldron, but if something was to happen there and you have to go a different way, you don't have that option if you do not have that connection. So that would be my concern from a safety standpoint, is if it's only a 1-lane connection or if it's gated, who has access to the gate, how's it going to be open, all that kind of stuff. So I had prefer, and I think it's best for the city from a safety standpoint, that it's connected up. That's what we would normally ask any subdivision to do, is have connectivity.
So connected up like a regular road, is that what you're
Yes.
saying? Okay. Any questions? Any
Is
other
that,
questions for the traffic engineer?
Is that, I mean, that's in emergency situations. It wouldn't be like cut-throughs and stuff, just,
No, I think that's the negative. That's what I think the comment's coming from, is they do not want the road to become a cut-through. And I think that's what the gentleman is stating, is that once you widen Waldron, once you have the access points that you're going to have there with the signals and things like that, people are going to go to Waldron as opposed to cutting through. Now, you will have people who live, if that is connected up, the ones who live in the ridge, they're not going to go around to come in the front entrance on Waldron. They will cut through the subdivision. So the negative would be, does it become a cut through, and do they have issues with speeding up and down the street and all that inside the subdivision?
Any other questions? Comments on that?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions for Land? Explain about the timeline. If this goes through, what's your timeline for putting this together?
We would break ground on that northern parcel right away and start doing site work there. There would be a slight delay on the commercial piece as the city starts to widen the road and as the connectivity comes down Waldron and through Blair to the commercial site. So I'd anticipate, depending on the city's timing, roughly, 6 to 12 months before we start site work on the commercial piece.
Can you speak to, and this is going back to roads, but this is talking about the back end of the road for the residential portion.
Okay.
Were y'all able to work with Dalamar Homes and basically put a connecting point there between Hamlet at the Carruthers and your development?
At this point, there has been cooperation. We are working on an easement agreement with them. We're hoping that we're hoping that they'll agree to 2 access points to the single family, and that B, topography and stream crossings and those type of things lend themselves to having 2. So they have been cooperative up until now. We just don't have a formal agreement in place, but we literally we're talking to them earlier this week about that easement.
That's important because we were speaking about having multiple ways in. With Hamlet, it's one of those. They have one way in, one way out. So if there is a wreck at Carruthers and their entrance, fire department can't get down, police, EMS can't get down if there's another incident further down. So this would get them in compliance with the fire code. Any other questions?
no questions. I just want to say that I've been here 31 years, and I've seen some things slowly come in. Things are really going good now, and I can't remember anything that I'm more excited about than this. I think it's gonna put Laverne on the map. I think it's gonna bring a lot of good tax dollars to the city. I'm excited for the citizens to give them places to go and shop. With that being said, there's gonna be some headaches. There's gonna be some heartaches. Traffic at times is going to be absolutely ridiculous because of the construction, but hopefully within I'm assuming 3 to 5 year type thing that it'll all be worth it. But,
We think so.
but I'm excited for the city and the citizens, the leakage of money that loses, and I'm excited.
Well, we're excited to create a great place for y'all, and really feel a partnership with this town. And, we've been working on it this week with some of the more ephemeral parts of our development team, talking about how do you make a great place. So this isn't just going to be a bricks and mortar development like we're used to seeing in parts of Nashville and Rutherford County. There'll be a lot of intentionality behind it. So when you talk about a place the community can be proud of, it's also going to be a place where people are going to congregate, we hope, and enjoy public parks. And about 30% of the site is green space or public space. And so it lends itself to more of a community feel on top of like the economic impact that we think it'll produce for the town. So we're excited for it.
And I guess realistically, the surrounding area out there is going to make their property values go up quite a bit.
You do see convenience to town centers like this, driving property values. People like to be close to places that they can then live, learn, work, and play, and shop, and do those things that people have to do on a daily basis, and convenience to their homes. So we do think that will help property values.
Land, are y'all working on any other developments in Rutherford County?
Yes, sir. We've broken ground on a mixed-use development on Sam Ridley at the corner of Murfreesboro Road and Sam Ridley. It is half the size of this. The commercial pieces are pretty similar in size, and it's going to be anchored by Sprouts, the grocery store chain, and we are roughly 85% either pre-leased or have letters of intent from different types of tenants, all different, everything from massage, facial type places, spas, that type of thing, to restaurants, full service, coffee shops. We have yoga places, cycle bars, that type of thing, that have gotten really excited about it. There's 300 units of apartments going there, and 240 hotel keys, and 240,000 square feet of retail. Most of all of our out parcels have been spoken for. Barbecue, Jonathan's, we have a Wawa going in there, Bank Branch, that type of thing.
Well, I won't ask you to go into specific names. I know you were out at the ICSC Recon Convention.
Yes.
How was the response from your meetings with different retail groups to this development?
We had excellent response. We had approximately 15 different meetings with different retailers out there, specifically talking about the site. There is a lot of excitement about it. Everything is driven really by the traffic counts that are projected on Waldron and Blair. That's really driving a lot of the interest. And then the median income on this site is as good as it gets in Middle Tennessee. And so when you look at the demographics and coupled with the traffic counts and the lack of competition in this area, in fact, I had a meeting today at lunch with a broker who represents 4 different tenants who are all interested in this. Tropical Smoothie was one of them, a nail bar, Massage Envy. So they look at this as trying to fill a void in Middle Tennessee that's going to be filled by either themselves or a competitor. So we think there's a lot of pent-up demand. There's never been an opportunity to test that demand, because when you look at from Nolensville Road to I-24, there's just not any commercial. And so we talk about the leakage that you mentioned earlier, Vice Mayor, it's real. I mean, everybody that lives there is going somewhere else to shop. And so we truly believe, and through the studies we've done with Younger and Associates, that there's going to be significant sales tax dollars generated on this site. And then to back that up to the mayor's point, we think there's tenant demand that are going to generate those sales tax dollars. So we've had 3 different conversations with 3 different grocery store chains, 2 nationals, 1 kind of regional to the southeast, all very interested, fills a void for them. So we'll keep pursuing those groups. I believe we'll start doing some pre-leasing as soon as we get the entitlements improved. So I think there'll be a list of tenants, that some of which we know, some of which like our national-based tenants with good credit, and then we hope to also attract a lot of regional and kind of local credit type tenants, just to give it that kind of mix, which is sort of the sizzle that you want in a development like this, that drives that traffic, and it keeps people on the site for more than one activity. So you want to, if they're not just coming to shop at Publix or a grocery store chain like that, they're stopping at 2 or 3 places. They're eating dinner, they're hanging out, maybe exercising, doing something like that. So multiple trips in one trip, multiple stops in one trip to a site is what we're trying to achieve.
I haven't seen Tom Broker this excited since the Braves won the pennant.
Does anyone have any other questions for Land?
I just want to say, I look forward to it. I think that it will pull the community together, because we have like that side and this side. Hopefully, this side will migrate over to do more shopping in that area. And my son lived South Nashville for years, and I saw some of these mixed-use developments pop up on Nolensville Road between Burkett and going into Nashville, and very popular. I mean, it's like they came up and the crowds were just right there. So I'm looking forward. I think it'll be a very good asset to the community. So thank you all for all your work you've done.
We look forward to moving forward.
Thank you, Land.
Thank you.
Tom, since you're here, can I ask you to come up and just speak a little bit as to where we're at, so the community can kind of hear about leakage overall with the city, and what your thoughts are from an economic development director position about this development.
Sure. As far as the question on leakage, as we pointed out several other meetings, the city is losing $1.1 billion in all sectors of retail. Restaurants, somewhere in the $130 million. Our residents are leaving to go eat somewhere else and then come back home here. As you know, there's not a lot of options right now. I do believe, the Vice Mayor said, I'm very excited. And I have to tell you, if I was standing in Franklin, Tennessee, Nolensville, Tennessee, Smyrna, any city would be very proud of this. And not only is it going to bring in sales tax dollars like Laverne has never seen, you're going to have amenities that just don't exist here now. And Alderwoman Haas, to your point, I do believe it's going to be something that's going to be the hub. It's going to be where everyone comes to. And there are going to be bumps along the way, but eventually, again, we're really proud of this. We want nothing but quality. So anyone questioning, are we going to allow storage units or anything crazy over there? Absolutely not. We love that area. We're protecting that area, and we want to make sure. And I said this to Alderwoman Hobbs when we met the other day. I want the goal to be she stands in her driveway in the ridge and doesn't even know what's happening down the hill. While there'll be great things happening, we want to buffer it. We want to do it right. We want to protect that area. At the same time, we want the amenities, and we certainly need the sales tax moving forward. So I hope that's answered that.
Anyone have any questions for Tom, since he's up here?
Just, I know it's been a collective group, not just you, but Graham, Kyle, Mayor, but you spearheading it. As a vice mayor, I appreciate it. But as a citizen, who is a tax-paying citizen, I know that things like this will, hopefully, when that time comes, it'll keep my taxes down and keep the tax dollars flowing. So I appreciate all the hard work.
Well, thank you. Great team effort. You could name 20, 30 names and probably not be naming everyone, but great team effort. And if I may say one more thing, this group here, Mayor and Alderman Coates, you know, when the IDB purchased this and we started to market it, we weren't certain what we get. We thought we had a pretty good little product. We marketed it across, quite frankly, coast to coast. And to this day, I still have many of those same developers calling and want to know, can they get in on this or so on. Somewhere around July, I believe, Land, I met with you last year. Utmost respect, utmost trust. What he says will happen, will happen. Things come up along the way, as we found out with the streams and the wet water conveyances and so on. But the city should be very proud of who we're partnering with here. Very established name, very respected name, and I just want to say that to them. I think he said something in the meeting that I think you want to hit home to everyone. He and his company are investing $500 million in Laverne and Smyrna, the north end of the county. That says a lot. I don't know where that's ever happened before, so I just want to say that as well.
Well, he's got to be a good guy. Me and him go to the same barber.
Kyle, one last question for you. With some of the challenges from the last PDR, do you feel like we have covered as much as we can with learning from that and applying that here?
Yes, the planning commission went through this and made sure the percentages and more stuff was in it to be more enforceable than what we've had in another PDR.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, moving on to number 7, Resolution 2025-13, a resolution of the City of Laverne, Board of Mayor and Aldermen to declare property owned by the city to be surplus to the city's needs and directing disposal of the same. And this is some furniture from codes, engineering, planning departments, from the building on Murfreesboro Road. And it's the first set's in fair to good shape, and it'll be placed on Gov Deals. The ones that are not in that shape will be disposed of. Does anyone have any questions? This is pretty normal for us. And the last item is going to be appoint or remove board and committee members. We've got one vacancy with the Beautification and Arts Advisory Committee for Laura Ward, and that was due to her resignation. And so this is being advertised on Channel 3 and on social media. If we get applicants, that will be included on this packet. With that, we're going to move on to Mayor and Alderman comments. Alderman Coates.
Nothing this evening. Yeah, nothing.
Alderwoman Haas.
No comment.
Vice Mayor, no.
Got nothing.
Oh my gosh, that is a first.
For all of us?
No,
Or for him to
for
not
him.
have any? Oh, he's had no comments before.
So I do want to congratulate all of our high school graduates that have graduated over the last 2.5 weeks. I know the vice mayor was at the Laverne High School graduation and was cheering them on. And so we want to say congratulations, and we're definitely looking forward to all of y'all out here in the world with the rest of us, working and learning and growing. And And I think, you know, for the city, we're in a good place moving forward. We're still making forward progression. If you look at just Twinning Station alone that's on this agenda, it is something that I can tell you from sitting in the audience probably 12 years ago at least, sitting right back over where Doug is actually. I would sit, and this is just something that would have been unheard of back then. And so this just shows you how far the city has come. We still have a lot of work to do, but we're coming a very far way. So I'm very excited for the future and you know, what that holds for the city. With that, call this meeting adjourned.